Hello, and thank you for joining me in another episode of On the Couch with Nikki, a video segment where I bring you experts for expats. I'm coming to you from the incredible King Living showroom in Kalang Avenue, and today I'm sitting on the Jasper Lounge. I love the Jasper Lounge. I have one at home. I've had it for about 10 years and we still love it. So I'm excited to be on the very comfortable Jasper today. So who's with me on the couch? I have a great guest for you today. Her name is Michele Cabasug. She has been through quite an ordeal, a terrorizing, terrifying, hostile divorce situation with her ex-husband, and she's come out of it with flying colours. She's here to share her story with us today. Thank you for coming on my couch today, Michele. It was lovely to have you, and thank you for taking the time out to share your story with everyone. It's so important for everybody to hear this because I know there are a lot of expat women out there in a similar circumstance or about to be in a similar circumstance. So it's good to hear that somebody's come through it to the other side successfully. So tell us a bit about your story.
I came to Singapore about 13 years ago. I was a trailing spouse with my ex-husband, and we got married here, we got divorced here, we had the 3 kids here, and we litigated in different countries, different courts, and I'm still here working. I'm a PR, and I have 3 wonderful children, and I support them 100%.
Okay, so you've obviously been through quite an ordeal, and I know that there are a lot of other women who are watching this who may find themselves in a situation where they're in an unsustainable relationship and they want to go down the divorce route. What steps do you think they should do before embarking upon that journey?
I think the number one step that any woman needs to do if they're going to take a divorce and they have little kids would be get their finances together and be financially independent and be able to move somewhere and be able to afford it and be able to sustain their lifestyle. I think putting their kids as the number one priority and working to, pay for the bills and sustain the lifestyle, pay for the legal fees, you need to be working or have the money aside.
How long do you think that process would be? Sort of have a 12-month plan before going into this, or what do you think?
I think basically just knowing that you're going to have money coming in. So, finding that job that will be able to give you that work-life balance and be able to have that means to pay for your family, pay for your legal fees, pay for the roof over your head and your food and your income and your lifestyle. Some women, they already have savings. So if you put pretty much kind of like a stash aside for your legal fees, an emergency stash aside for, if anything goes wrong. So
for those who may not be able to legally work here, even just having a little nest egg of a little stash of money.
Absolutely. You definitely need to have your own money. You need to have your own money aside that is yours, that you can tap into in the event something goes wrong.
Okay, so is there a support network or somewhere where these women can go to discuss this before they branch into it?
Catherine Rose Yates has a support group, and then I also have a support group as well. Singapore Single Expat Mom Support Group, and then there's also different support groups online that you can join. There's secret support groups, and then you post your questions, and then people can tell you, this is an attorney to go to, this is what you should do in the event that you need a personal protection order, or these are ideas for custody drop-off and pickups, and these are some worksheets you can use for when you're asking for maintenance and child support.
Okay, so is there an order of proceedings? Is there get your money sorted first, then what's the next thing?
I think the most important thing is getting your money sorted first, and then the second is getting a good support network, because maybe you might not have enough money, so you might want to be able to, you know, bunk with a friend, or you know, to just basically get out of that particular situation. Have a timeline, have some goals of, okay, you know, if I get this particular job in 6 months, I'll be able to get my own place, or maybe seeking an attorney to see, okay, you know what, I can't live here, I'd like to go for a relocation out of the country.
It's interesting you mentioned time. How long from when you knew things weren't okay to actually having the courage to broach it was that?
I knew things weren't okay when the babies were very young, so I moved into a service apartment. I was basically in a service apartment in hiding. I moved to 2 service apartments just to have a safe place that was super secure to get away from a lot of the drama.
What time period was it that you lived with the unpleasantness of being in a relationship that wasn't serving you before you even made that choice to start acting upon it?
About a year.
About a year, okay.
About a year.
Right.
Sometimes women stay in their marriages for years, but I think, you know, for myself, it was very, very important that the kids do not grow up in this environment.
Yeah.
It's so important. A lot of women stay because of financial reasons. In the beginning, I'm like, okay, I'm going to stay because, you know, I want the kids to have a mother and father, and, you know, we were going to have a, you know, a happy family, but it wasn't a happy family.
So where's the line between, obviously you've been through quite an episode and the children were there along the way, so there is kind of a trade-off, because it's impossible to shelter them from all the pain and suffering, but then you don't want them to stay in an environment that's toxic or unresourceful to them. So I think that's what a lot of women grapple with. I'm just going to stay to give the kids stability, because if I go down this track, it might mess them up.
Correct. So the kids couldn't even formulate sentences when I was already getting out, because I knew if I stayed a little longer, they would see us together on the weekends. They'd, you know, think that, you know, mommy and daddy are together. We're one big happy family when we're not.
Yeah.
And I got out as soon as possible because I didn't want my kids to see or get used to, you know, more drama in their lives. So I got out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But I could afford to get out, so that was a little different. I worked, before I used to work a lot, you know, when I first started real estate, I worked 3 times harder to make that nest egg, to just get out, because I worked so hard to just get out of the relationship and get my own place and pay attorney fees.
I'm sure throughout the whole scenario there were some really dark times, some really bleak times. How did you get through those?
I just basically worked a lot. I had to be incredibly focused. I had some good mentors. They were very, very supportive. They were women who were much older than me, and they basically gave me all the advice and walked me through this divorce. They're in happy marriages. They would talk to me every single day. They would check in on me and they'd say, you know, Michelle, do this, do that. So I got women who were in perfect marriages to help me through this by giving me that support, like an older sister or like a mom advice. And they were basically my rock, my everything.
Yeah.
Because
so
if I didn't have these 2 women, I wouldn't have been able to do this on my own.
These women act as lifelines to people, don't they?
Yes.
And we are expats. We don't have family and friends on hand around us. We need that support network. So it's incredible that there are services now available to women so they know where they can go. But it's also important to have
people in your life,
solid friendships, your go-to people. I don't know that people could get through this without somebody, a person to help navigate through it.
At that time, you know, there wasn't Facebook. I didn't know who to go to. I didn't know other single mothers at all. And it's not like I could venture out and say, oh, hi, are you going through a divorce? And you just don't
I can't
really
imagine
broach
a life
that.
without Facebook, but it was.
We didn't have your group. We didn't have other groups.
I don't know how you did it.
When I started so many years ago without any support, you know, trying to find an attorney, trying to, you know, navigate through the court system, I just didn't know where to go, and I had to do everything on my own. And now, you know, with, you know, Facebook being very active and you can seek out support, you know, I'm pretty active in helping these women by telling them, okay, go to this attorney, you know, here's a resource, and I also sponsor some talks for these women.
So you have been through hell and back. Tell us how you are now. Tell us the other side of the tunnel so that women watching can be assured that the end result is good.
So fast forward now, my life is absolutely amazing. Work is fantastic. I have 3 kids in international school, and I pay for everything. And I have somebody in my life who's absolutely amazing. We have amazing friends. I live in Sentosa, right on the water. So everything is just perfect. We have such a happy home life.
Michele, can you tell me how long the whole process took? How long was this whole journey from the beginning till a resolution?
So when I first filed in court, I filed in California. I also filed in Singapore of my divorce and custody issues. And, you know, the divorce process and the custody process took years. You know, it wasn't easy. I also had to litigate in Hawaii, also in California, and 2 courts in Singapore, family court and high court. So it basically took years to do, because somebody can always come back and try to change the orders or the custody arrangements.
How many years?
4.
4. And this is, from the history that I know, probably the worst case scenario of this sort of process and ordeal. So 4 years. So for somebody doing it a little bit simpler, it would be less. It could be less.
I don't, because you can get a divorce and then the custody issue could be brought up later, and then you still have to go back to court.
Yeah.
So it could literally last years, or people would be fighting over money or maintenance. You know, there are scenarios where women have divorced years ago, but they're still fighting over you know, custody arrangements of the kids.
So women almost need to have quite an endurance for conflict and for emotional hardship. What can you suggest to them to arm themselves with to be able to get through this battle?
I think emotionally they just have to be grounded. I think that's super important. You know, if they're grounded and focused and know what they want, and they just go ahead and do it instead of talking to so many different people and not doing anything. I think my biggest advice is to just go ahead and do it. You have nothing to lose, and your kids are the most important thing ever. So I would just say, you know, go out and put that application in. You know, if you don't want to get out of bed, just do it for your kids. You know, if you had a bad court day yesterday, tomorrow's always the next day.
Just keep going.
Just keep on going.
Was there ever a time where you thought, I can't do this anymore?
Many times.
Yeah.
And then it's like a spur of a moment, you know, like, oh my goodness, I just got these papers from my attorney, another court application against me, and it's in the middle of the day and I have another appointment in 30 minutes. So I would just like literally just break down and then I'm like, oh my God, my client's coming in 30 minutes, and just like wipe the tears off and just get on with it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on the couch with me today. You are obviously a true warrior. You're a true survivor. You are courageous. I'm sure everybody will be so happy to hear that everything in your world has come together. I wish you continued peace and happiness and health and joy now and moving forward. And thank you so much again for sharing your story. It's really important that people hear this.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you for allowing me to come and share my story. I think any woman who is going through what I went through, it's not easy, but it's doable. You know, if I can do it and start from absolutely zero and no money, and then turn everything around, it's possible.
That's great. Thank you so much again. If you are in an unhappy relationship or in the midst of a hostile divorce or just contemplating your options, please know that there are groups out there that you can get support from. Reach out to people. There are resources. I'll detail them here for you. Please get the help that you need. It's out there for you. Thank you so much for watching another episode of On the Couch with Nikki. Thank you to King Living for having me in your awesome showroom. It's in Kalang Avenue. King Living do incredible sofas and lounges and dining tables and bedding. It's all here. Come and have a look. It's fantastic. And I'll see you next time on my couch. Thanks, everyone.